10th part of the excerpt from Lesson 01 of the online philosophy course by Professor Olavo de Carvalho on March 14, 2009. A student asks, in Brazilian universities, where a kind of circus-like leftism doesn't prevail, we often find a sort of Popper-style positivism, where science is identified with quantification and lab tests, even in the human sciences. Any suggestions on how to deal with that? Olavo replies, my suggestion is this: don't deal with it at all, ignore it completely, as it leads nowhere. In many circles, Popper is considered the NEC plus ultra, the highest standard of knowledge. But if you want my opinion about Popper, he's a complete fool. What he did in the Open Society and its enemies shows he doesn't even know how to read the classics of philosophy. He can't read Plato and makes absolutely subgenasian confusions about Platonic texts. The works of Plato and Aristotle are the beginning of philosophy. If you don't master them, you will master nothing. Mastering doesn't mean you have to read everything and know it all. What you need is to understand what you're reading and know what they're talking about, know what real human experience gave rise to that speculation. Note this well, when we speak of real human experience, we are talking about things that actually happen to people and that they take completely seriously. When a thief sticks a gun in your belly, you take that situation completely seriously. You're not going to raise some epistemological doubt and ask, is this really happening? Being robbed is a deadly serious matter. Ortega y Gasset used to say that the only ideas that matter are the ideas of castaways. When someone is drowning, clinging to a log to stay alive, the things he still believes in at that moment are serious to him, the rest is play, superficiality. We must seek in philosophy that same total seriousness, because it is this that will give us the standard of right and wrong, of true and false. Without that, if your own pursuit of truth isn't true, no conclusion you reach will mean anything. If you only want to reach conclusions that are socially acceptable, that are approved by this or that group, then what you want is not philosophy. Philosophy is essentially a personal quest in which you must discover your own criteria of certainty. These days there's a lot of talk about critical thinking and thinking for yourself, but I've never seen a person at a Brazilian university who actually thought for themselves. They don't even know what that is, and when they say think for yourself, it's just a flatus vocis. They're using an expression with sociological prestige, but they don't actually know what it means. Because they've never been in that situation. And we are going to seek that situation, because only then will we understand what Socrates was doing. A reading I'll recommend, not for now, just keep it in mind, is Paul Friedlander's book on Plato, An Introduction. New York, Harper & Row, 1958. It's a great book, one that influenced 3 or 4 generations of Plato scholars. What's Friedlander's secret? He relates ideas to experience. He looks for the specific, concrete, human circumstances in which certain questions arose for Socrates and Plato, and shows how they interpreted and worked through their experience to derive the philosophical concepts they would later discuss. Discovering the experiential substance, not experimental, of philosophical concepts is practically everything. That is the very method of philosophy. And it's a huge effort, not just intellectually, but also morally and psychologically. Often you'll have to seek the roots of philosophical concepts in internal experiences you had 20 or 30 years earlier. It's a whole process of anamnesis, of self-knowledge and self-analysis, and what ruins philosophy are precisely the people who don't know how to do this. Because those who don't know how to do this use philosophical concepts like fetishes, as if they were things in themselves, leading to uncontrolled verbalism where they never know what they're talking about and never accept being held accountable in that regard. They're people who are afraid, since they have no human substance or life experience, only what they've read in books, they never know what philosophers are talking about. They know what the philosopher said, but not what it refers to in reality. So what they say has no substance in reality, only schoolish verbal substance. I remember when I was in junior high, the geometry teacher said that a point has no dimension. And that a line is made up of points. And I asked, but sir, if a point has no size, you can pile up as many as you want and you won't get a line out of it. So how do you make a line? And the teacher? He got angry at me. In other words, he was thinking about points and lines without ever examining what the heck they are. You might say that points and lines are conventions, but every convention has some reason for being established. Would you make a convention like, from now on, all your money is mine, and my money stays mine? Barack Obama wants us to make a convention like that, but nobody's accepting it. Every convention has a reason, a justification. And what's the reason behind this? Is it just didactic convenience? If it's only that, what Euclid invented would be just a silly game for us to play mentally. But the thing is, miraculously, the game coincides with reality. Any triangle you measure will work exactly the way he said. How is that possible? If it's just a game, how can it work? At that point I lost all interest in geometry, and only came back to it when I was 38. Because that teacher wanted to shove something down my throat that he didn't even know what it was, had never thought about, and he still had the nerve to judge what I said and give me a 0 if I didn't do things his way. That was such imbecilic authoritarianism that I couldn't accept it. If he's the teacher, he should explain it to me, but if he can't explain it, why should I swallow it? From that day on, I simply stopped going to his class. He walked in, I walked out. Of course, I got a 0 in that subject. Later on, everyone at the school turned against him, and I was the only one who defended him. Though of course, he was a complete fool. Not that he didn't know how to do mathematics, he did. He just didn't know what mathematics is, and had never stopped to think about it. He understood math like a bus driver who learned to drive but has no idea how the engine works. He knows how to use math, but doesn't know what it is he's using, and that makes his knowledge merely empirical, a matter of memory, not actual knowledge. Now, most people in any scientific or technical profession work exactly like that. They've never stopped to think about what it is, why it is the way it is, and whether it really is what they say it is. That's the opposite of the philosophical attitude. The philosophical attitude is seriousness in knowledge. It's also not critical analysis, constantly questioning and contesting everything. That's just another kind of silliness, and here we can't afford silliness, whims, or frivolity. We're here to do something serious, because it's our very life that is at stake. The necrology exercise also serves this purpose, to hammer it into your head that it's your life at stake, that this isn't just some academic game or the exercise of a profession, but a question of who you really are.